How are you? So, as many of you know me, my name is Jimmy Gonzalez, and I am doing this because it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's just one of those things like, why should I? Who am I to do this? But funny thing is, on a spiritual note, over the past 2 weeks, for some reason, people have decided to tug on me for advice at the oddest places. Either at the gym, which for some reason happens quite often, or just walking around. And at some point, you ask yourself, why me? I don't think I have all the answers, like most of us. But at times you do say to yourself, at least me, I say this quite often, if the powers that be would like me to share my experiences with other people, and if I could help in any way, why wouldn't I? Life is a funny thing. A lot of these people that I've mentioned in the past few days that have been coming to me, oddly, I'm not going to say asking me specifically for advice, but it's more of like stopping me in the entrance to the gym, and like a guy that I didn't even know, and he just went on to this 20-minute spiel about life and his dreams and his goals and his aspirations and his family and his brothers and music and concerts that he used to go to and this and that. And before you know it, we're literally hugging, and he's crying, and he's talking about memories, and he's talking about sad ones and positive ones. And it's funny because it's almost like I'm looking around going, what, I mean, I don't mind it. I love it. I love talking to people. I learn from people. I'm inspired by people. But at the same time, it's like, dude, like, why are you talking to me? And now we're like friends. Now I see him quite often, and we're always in the talking, and the guy's a great guy. But it means a lot to me that he stopped and had to take time to share something with me. And this has happened in the past 2 weeks about 7 times. All with people that I didn't really know. Just felt the need to share things with me, and before you know it, we're insta friends. It's pretty cool. So on that note, that's why I wanted to share something that's been bugging me too, because a lot of these topics have a lot to do with people caring a little bit too much about what other people think. And it's difficult. Now, trust me, what I'm telling you isn't because I've mastered it. It's because I have a sickness. I'm daily aware of it. And I'm always thinking about it because of my upbringing and situations that happened to me when I was growing up, and how I felt the need to focus on me. And when all is said and done, especially in today's society, we're so focused on making other people happy and fitting in and looking right for other people and doing the correct thing for other people and making sure that everybody else in the world is happy. We tend to cheat ourselves on just us and what makes us happy and what we love to do. And it's a shame. And it's a shame because, to get to the point that there are people who actually have lost their lives making decisions, not thinking, or ending up in jail because of peer pressure, not thinking of what they wanted for them and what could have made them happy. But instead, they were more focused on what makes everybody else happy and just wanted to fit in. And because of that, if you really just think about it, the millions of different people that have, now have wasted a life doing a job or that they didn't want to, or being married for a long period of time and they didn't want to, or just getting into a car with someone that they didn't really want to. But I don't want to use the word peer pressure. It sounds so high schoolish, but it is. It's just, it should be you versus you. And that's why if you look at my little picture up on top, it's me versus me. Because really it is. You know, even at the gym, like I'm actually sitting right outside the gym. I just left. And it's funny when I watch people. I mean, when you're on the elliptical, or I tend to I put my hood on, I have my headphones on, I'm listening to either like, you know, hard rock or actually inspirational speakers. And I'm watching people, and the amount of people that feel the need to stare at other people. And it's funny, some of the looks that some of the girls give other girls is hilarious. It's just like these looks of hatred, of envy, of jealousy, instead of just looking at their screen or using their headphones to learn something while you're doing it. I mean, because realistically, I'm there for a long time. But I just really focus on myself. And then I'm not going to lie, I tend to look up. But it's funny, I'll catch the dirty look looking at someone else that's working out. And I'm just like, dude, like, just stop. Just stop and focus on what you're feeling. I mean, a lot of times, if you ever witness me working out, I usually do it with my eyes closed. I try to. I'll have something really deep going on in my headphones, and I just focus on, I mean, I know that sounds weird to say it, but the pain, and focus on those muscles that I'm working out. I'm targeting that area, so I'm focusing on that area, and that it's working for me, and I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. The gym is something I've joined the gym, Jesus, from Bally's in Milford when I was 17, 18. I used to drive my scooter from Bridgeport all the way to Devon in the Milford area to Bally's. That was my first. Actually, no, my first gym was the Fairfield Racquetball Spa, and then I joined it, and then it burnt down. So then I went to Bally's, but that was only for a short time. Then I went to Bally's. Then, you know, life gets in the way. I'm focused on other things instead of focusing on my health. And from there, I joined Planet Fitness. And then when my membership stopped, I joined Fitness Edge. And then when my membership stopped, I joined Planet Fitness again. But again, it's like I was never truly on it. Like, I love working out. I love sweating. But I don't know, life, you know, it's that whole thing. Life gets in the way. Life gets in the way. And you hear it a million times, but it's like, you know, it only takes that one time for it to click and go, well, why do you allow it? Because I don't care what anyone says, and I know there's people who are going to disagree with me, but let's be honest. Like, let's be painfully honest. When you want something bad enough, it's amazing how life does not get in the way. Things just stop, and you figure it out, and you make the time. It's something as simple as when you have a job that you love. It's never a bother waking up. When you have a job that you're there for the money solely, all of a sudden, sooner or later, it turns into an issue because you realize it's not about the money. It's really about the happiness and loving what you do. And you just make excuses. I mean, I could give you a great story, how the mind controls. I've had a lot of great jobs. I've had a lot of bullshit jobs. But it's just funny how usually every job that I've started working at, it's almost like you find a reason to love it, even if it's just because you need some money. But you make it work. I like these people. I like this place. I like my schedule. This is great. And then all of a sudden, something else opens up. Another job, better money, or the same money, but just a different situation. And it's amazing how you slowly convince yourself how much you hate this freaking place. And you just dislike the people, and you just dislike your hours. It's funny, you find reasons to not like it. I just find it hilarious. Um, I used to work at Bridgeport Hospital, medical records, and it was funny. I worked there for 4 years, and it wasn't a job I wanted at all. But I was on that getting married, having to be responsible thing, and I knew that I had to do the right thing. So I went and got the job. And honestly, for anybody who likes the medical field or is actually looking for a job that you can grow in, a hospital, in my opinion, I mean, as long as you can deal with sickness and everything else, I mean, you really don't personally in most jobs, but you deal with people. And if you like people, a hospital is just a big place. It's great. There's so many departments, and there's just so many good and bad people. I actually got a job. It was supposed to be temporary, doing files. They haven't microfiched their files in 100 years. So I was part of a team that was just hired temporarily, and before you know it, I took the job. And me being the control freak that I am, I was one of the few that were left. When the job was done, they kept me on. And I mean, I was very proud of that. So, and it was a great job. But at that point, I had a wannabe music career kind of thing going on, that I was kind of DJing, kind of producing. I'd gone to music school in New York. It was becoming prosperous, but it wasn't something that, it was a dream, because and hopefully this will connect with a lot of you. My parents didn't get it. And again, that whole it's me versus me, I wish I had more of that attitude then, because my parents were old school Cubans who their focus was on survival. And I understand. I mean, it's just their upbringing. My mother dropped out of school in, I think, second grade, and started washing dishes and cleaning dishes and folding clothes for rich people. My father, very young, basically just dropped out of school also at a young age, and before you know it, he was able to go to Florida and work at a hotel. And that was his priority, just making money, which for many of us in this country, that's why a lot of people come here. If you think about it, that first generation of immigrants came here to survive, to make a living. Not that whole, they didn't come here for, at least in my opinion, to find a dream. It was more of I need to survive. I need to make a living. I want, a lot of people wanted to come here and buy the house and to pick a fence and have the kids, and to do that, you needed to make a living, whether it was in a factory or, in many different things. Now it's, many of us are about a dream. We want to make a dream. We want to follow a dream. Want to be a musician. Want to be, just so many things. Actors. I mean, that's why the popularity of all these shows are on TV about singing and acting and dancing. It's because it's about following that dream, which it's a beautiful thing. But if you have to admit, the American dream has changed. But the problem with that is, a lot of us, making a living while trying to make your dream is tough. Because for me, balancing was tough. And when I was at the hospital, it's just like I was making a living. But my dream was getting better. And I was making more and more connections with people in the music industry. And it's just something that I had realized, wow, this could make a living for me. So magically what ended up happening was, it got to the point that every time I went to the hospital for work, this place that I enjoyed the company, I enjoyed the people. I mean, there's so many, we're talking a hospital, and actually medical records, most of my job was in a basement, but I always had to go up to the floors to get charts, look for charts, because, no offense to doctors, when it comes to filing, I don't think they learned that in school too much. So it's I had to go out and search for paperwork everywhere. And, a lot of it had to do with lawsuits that were going on and stuff. So I had to find this paperwork, all this documentation. But because of that, I got to meet nurses and doctors and specialists and EMTs. And, these people are amazing. They really are. They're amazing. And never take them for granted. When you go to a hospital, to this day when I go, I appreciate them. I really do. I don't think of it as like, well, they're getting paid. It could be, it's a trying job for a lot of these people. So you should appreciate them. So I always have good memories of that place. But like I said, my mind started changing. And all of a sudden I find myself not liking the hospital, nitpicking about certain situations, complaining about my schedule. Everything that had worked for me no longer worked for me. And it's funny because at that time I even knew it. Like, what am I doing? It's almost like I'm self-sabotaging this job. But it's because I wanted the next thing. I wanted to do music. I wanted to travel. I wanted to tour. I wanted to produce. So I sabotaged my life. And I went on to something that I did love a lot more. I got to travel. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to perform in front of a lot of people. Music, the dance industry, for any of you who's wondering. And it was a great time in my life. And then it just got to the point that it became serious work. It became more work than creation. And although the money was good, the scheduling became tough, and it just got to the point that it was just something that I wasn't sure about anymore. And again, I started bringing up issues with that life. Then I wasn't happy there either. But the funny thing is, I always had like my parents on the back of my mind complaining, see, it's not a real job. You should have never done that. You should have never done this. Instead of focusing on what I wanted, focusing on what makes me happy. Because the bottom line is, when you fail, and when it's by your own decision, it's very different. It affects you differently. When you fail, and it's because of decisions that you've allowed other people to make for you on your behalf, you resent them. And you really shouldn't. It's not their fault. I mean, a lot of people love you and care for you, and they think they know what's best for you. And it should be you to put on your big boy or big girl pants and live your life and do your thing. And for the first, during my work, I'd say when I first started working, until now, we tend to think of what other people want, what will benefit other people. Now, mind you, if you have a wife or a husband or a kid or a partner, whatever, and you have bills to pay, I understand that. You should focus on that, obviously, because that's a priority. But also think, like, the bottom line is you should do what makes you happy, always, first. Because, I always ask of this, and it's funny because I seldom get it correct. Who is the most important person in your life? I can imagine the answers. My kids, my parents, my husband. But bottom line is, it should always be you. You should always love yourself first. You are the most important person. You're born alone and you die alone. Spiritually. So, you should always make that connection with yourself in the morning. When you wake up, you thank your maker. And you look around your room when you wake up, and you give thanks that people take it for granted, but thank you, I woke up. First thing I do is when I wake up, I look out my window and I'm like, okay, there's the sky, there's some trees, I'm alive, and then my dogs jump on me. And I love that they depend on me, and I love that I actually more depend on them. They bring me sanity. Then you turn to your partner, your lover, your wife, your husband, and you thank them. It's a great day. It's a great day to be alive. And you don't let the bullshit of life take over that. And again, it's not easy. It's not easy. But the last thing you want to do is fall into that rabbit hole. Because the minute you fall, it's so hard to get out. And the way you do it is by being aware of it and repeating it and writing mantras around your house and little things on the mirror. Write on your mirror. Go get a dry erase board. Write some positive thoughts on your mirror. People do it all the time. Millionaires, billionaires do it all the time. It's there's nothing wrong with repeating stuff. It's you're it's like you're editing your way of thinking constantly. And you should look forward to the day on a positive note. Never wake up and go, oh God, I have to go to work. Oh my God. Because if it gets to that point, change it. Do something about it. And it's like people are like, oh, but once you start looking, you create that energy towards that. And before you know it, somebody will call you about that idea or that thought. A friend, a neighbor, or somebody will walk up to you and be like, hey, I know somebody who's looking to do something. And you're like, holy crap. Like, did someone hear me? Because that's how I spend most of my life. Whenever I have thoughts, it's fascinating. I think it quite often, and before you know it, it just starts to happen. The connections happen. I bump into people, and the first topic is what I was thinking about, and I'm like, how did you know? It's like, how did this person know? And it screws with your head. But is it God? I know everybody falls into it's a coincidence. I'm sorry, I'm not a coincidence person. It just doesn't work for me. For me, everything is there's connections out there, and they care about you and they love you, and you should love yourself first. So, whenever you're challenged, always realize that it's me against me, and I love me, and you should love you. Take it easy. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.